and it's Victory Monday. So what does Victory Monday mean as a player? You're not coming into the office. You get used to it, but don't get too fat. Understand that there's another game around the corner, another opponent that wants to knock you off, that's going to give you their best shot. But you have to keep it up so that you can get the number one spot.
Man, this team had a losing record after 3 weeks. And then they haven't lost a game. Number 1 seed in the AFC. You have every tiebreaker now over the Patriots and all the different types of wins that we've come in here and reacted to. It's like, they beat down Cincinnati to get back to 500.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, it's Jake Browning, And then there was the comeback in Philly. And that was what Sean calls really like a turning point in the season. And then it's the New York Jets, and it was a comeback as well. And then it was the New York Giants, and the largest in-game turnaround in the history of the sport, literally.
Drama.
And then there was a win over the Cowboys, but at the time it was like, well, that's the single worst defense in all of the league. And then it was a win over Houston in which they knocked out, C.J. Stroud, and it's like, okay, well, would they have won that game if and then it's the win over Kansas City. And then it got like, if you weren't on board, like after that, it was like, this is getting extra real. And then,
you got the bye week.
You got the bye week, and then the Commanders win was a little bit frustrating because the defense looked like the worst version of itself. And, and yet I skipped over the Thursday night win, which was a slog where the rest of the country was making fun of the game.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one.
And yesterday, for my money, it was the most boring game of the year, but kind of in a good way. It wasn't like crazy aesthetically pleasing. There wasn't big plays. There wasn't a single play that went for 20 yards, but it was game control. It was methodical and healthy, I think, for our heart to not freaking be going nuts in comeback fashion. That was the first win all year where the Broncos didn't have to come from behind.
It's like, you know what? I always tell my wife, there's weeks where it just seems boring. But boring is good in life. Boring means that everything is going as planned, not extra exciting, but also not chaotic, or you're sitting there saying, dang, I wish it was boring.
Correct.
That's what's happening with the Denver Broncos, especially yesterday. You're right. It was a boring game in the sense of there wasn't a lot going on. The explosive plays were not there. We had the special teams, Marvin Mims' punt return taken to the house. That was probably the most explosive play, the most excited I got throughout that game.
Definitely.
But you need games like this where you control the clock, where you go down the field and everybody touches the football, where you can get a young rookie running back going, where he can build his confidence, where the defense doesn't have to do as much work so that they can stay healthy. This game right here was a business game. Get in there, get out.
I like that.
You had a bunch of Broncos fans there, which was insane. You're in Vegas, but yet it's a sea of orange, which you love to see. But you handle business, you get back on the plane, and you get ready to play for this next week because it gets real. You have almost 100% chance of making the playoffs. Right there, everything is out there is for you to take. You have full control now. Now finish this off the right way. And this is why we always say start fast and finish strong. Can the Denver Broncos finish strong? They have a tough schedule. You got Green Bay. You got the Jags. All right, you still got Kansas City who's gonna still want to win that game when you're coming into their house. And then you have the Chargers that are still fighting to try to win this division. So there's a lot of good football to be played, and you have to be healthy, focused, and ready to roll.
What do you think your biggest takeaway from yesterday was?
The biggest takeaway for me would have to be how dominant the offense looked. When I say dominant, it's not the points. It's the drives. 3 long drives, Zach. You talked about it earlier. You had the opening drive, 14 plays, 81 yards, touchdown, right? You topped it off with a Bo Nix touchdown. All right, then you go again, another 14-play, 90-yard drive, touchdown. Then you turn around in the fourth quarter and you go 19 plays, 90 yards, in a field goal. So all 3 of those long drives ended up with points. That's what you want to see. And so to me, it's like the offense is starting to click. Bo Nix is starting to understand what he needs to do. He does not have to be Superman all the time.
No.
Don't put that cape on all the time.
That was Clark Kent yesterday.
There you go. Be a game manager. There's nothing wrong to manage a game at times. and just move down the field. Trust everybody. Trust the process. Trust what Sean Payton has to offer as an offensive play caller. And that's exactly what I got out of this was just the offense is starting to click to help this defense out, and that's what's going to help us win a lot of games in the playoff and get to a damn Super Bowl.
That's fair, man.
What did you have, man?
They really did push him around up front. I think my biggest takeaway, man, I think that the run game has a chance. That the run game has a chance.
Zach Bye kind of warming up to it.
Well, there hasn't been much to warm up to, since Dobbins went down. That was definitively the strength of the offense when J.K. Dobbins was around. And not having him around still may cost the Denver Broncos big time. I do not want to get over my skis with a run game that did it against a 2-win team.
Yes.
But that being said, you have to start somewhere. And yesterday was a great place to start. I thought there was a lot of pressure on the run game coming into yesterday. I really did. And the fact that we saw, and again, he didn't run for 140 yards. It was 75 yards on 4.5 yards a carry, not 7 yards. But considering where this thing came from, it was such a pleasant surprise that I'm like, man, could they makeshift their way in this department? Because we talked about it. We got the number from Cecil about a month ago that Super Bowl teams in the last 25 years have averaged 114 yards a game on the ground.
Yeah.
And the Broncos running backs since Dobbins went down have been producing in the 50s. So
how confident are you, though? On a scale of 1, let's go 1 to 5 because I want to mess with your head. 1 to 5, 5 being like I'm so confident.
Yeah.
With this run game, moving forward, you got 4 games left, and then you got the playoffs, which we all know, Zach. We sit here, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
If you're going to win a playoff game, which the Denver Broncos have not done yet in a while, you have to have a run game and a tight end. How confident are you after watching R.J. Harvey in that run game yesterday?
Out of 5?
Out of 5. I don't want to go 10 on you.
I'll go a 3.
Okay.
I was between a 2 and a 3 because you have to take into consideration for this specific question that you're asking me, you have to take into consideration your opponent, and that is a bad football team.
They are.
Like the Raiders are, goodness gracious, they could end up with the number 1 pick in the draft. Sincerely. They haven't won a football game in 3 months, 2.5 months. So and the last
damn Raiders,
and the last time they won, it was against the Titans, who are actually have the number 1 pick right now. So I have to take that into consideration, but also like I don't want to ignore what my eyes saw yesterday. I saw an effective run game that happened, but extrapolating it to the rest of the season through the lens of a Super Bowl and playing the best competition that the NFL has to offer, I'm not going to overreact to one game. So I'll say my confidence level a 3 out of 5.
See, look, you're better than me. I'm still at 2.5.
Okay.
I'm going to say 2.5.
I didn't know we could put halves on it.
Okay, we'll go 2.
Then just do it out of 10 then.
Okay, all right, we'll go 2.
Okay.
There you go. Fine. Zach, are you happy?
Yes.
We'll go. I'm out of 2 because I need to see more from R.J. Harvey. All right, it was the first game that R.J. Harvey literally got to have 17 carries. So the next time that you get 15 to 17 carries, does it look like this? Maybe a little bit better. All right, we know that you can score. You're a touchdown machine. You get to the red zone. Sean Payton's going to be creative with the play calls. You're going to get your touchdowns. But can you be consistent on a day-to-day basis when we need you the most? And only time will tell with that. The other thing, the one thing that you were nervous about is what I'm nervous about now. You have R.J. Harvey. If R.J. Harvey goes down, then what?
You're screwed.
Got 4 games left.
Yeah.
And if you have 4 games left, and the depth is kind of going, dwindling down, you end up missing out on R.J. Harvey because now you're giving him more carries. We can't keep giving him 17 carries. You weren't giving J.K. that. So why would you give R.J. that? So that's the only concern for me is what happens if something goes wrong with R.J. Harvey, because now you don't have a run game or a guy that you can count on to get you the touchdowns, because that's exactly what R.J. Harvey has been doing.
Well, I'll say this too, and no one's going to like hearing this today. I think a lot of the running backs could score the touchdowns that R.J. has scored this year.
Most definitely, Zach. I know, but if you say that, then you're a hater. You're a hater, but believe me, there's a bunch of running backs in this league that are watching, sitting there on the sideline, wishing that they could be the guy that walks in on a easy touchdown.
Sure.
And it happens more times than not. and you sit there and you're like, well, damn, if you would create a play for me, I would do the exact same thing. So it all comes down to who Sean likes, who Sean wants to get more involved. Let's be real.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think the goal, because yesterday was really productive. That was 152 yards. But you have to take into account there's some Bo Nix scrambles.
Jalil had a couple chunk plays.
Yep, there was a big play from Prentice, and Mims had a carry.
Yeah.
But I'm not obsessing over the number. I think considering who the Raiders are, okay, and what it's going to look like moving forward, not only into the playoffs, but you look at the slate that's awaiting them. It's one of the harder 4-game sequences to finish the season of any NFL team, with Green Bay coming in here, followed by Jacksonville, followed by Kansas City in Arrowhead, and then finishing up with the Chargers.
Hey, you got to be a dog. Hur, hur, hur.
So I think they said third, the third highest strength of schedule left in the NFL belongs to the Denver Broncos. So you know what I look at? I look at the Super Bowl 50 team. The Super Bowl 50 team have a good offense. No, they didn't. They were being propped up by the defense, right?
The defense was the one doing all the work.
One of the greatest defenses of all time, right? But the Broncos that year found a way to manage 107 yards a game on the ground. 107 yards. Did that rank in the top 5? No. Did it rank in the top 10? It did not. It was actually by definition below average. Okay, by definition, it was the bottom half of the NFL. If the Broncos can get to around that number, 105, 107 yards, that's what I think. If you can just get to, I'll just make it simple. If you can average 100 yards a game, if your ground game can balance out the pass and just average around 100 yards a game, I think they have a shot. And based off what I saw yesterday, it gives me hope that they can get there.
Well, the ultimate goal is winning a Super Bowl, and if they're going to do that, they are going to have to be more balanced, Zach. They are going to have to be able to rely on play action. How do you get play action? You have to be a threat on the ground. You have to get the defense to want to move up and keep them honest, so that Bo Nix does have the opportunities to take some shots downfield, does have opportunities to get the playmakers like Troy Franklin or your boy Pat Bryant that's emerging as the number 3 receiver now.
Man, it seems like
talk about it.
Every week he is earning more trust, getting more opportunity, earning more trust, getting more opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been
taking advantage of it. Now it doesn't look good for a certain other receiver, and I know we'll talk about it and discuss, but for Pat Bryant, he's playing his butt off. He's gaining confidence, and he's a rookie as well, and Sean right now loves his rookie. So if we're going to make this long run, long story short, RJ Harvey is going to have to produce.
Yes.
He's going to have to be able to move the chains on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. He's going to be able to break the tackles like he's doing and continue to catch out of that backfield. And if he can do that and stay healthy, we do have a chance, Zach.
Yep. And because of that run game, yesterday, the Broncos recorded 3 offensive drives of at least 14 plays in a single game for the first time since at least the year 2000. That is a long time, okay? It was also Denver's first game with at least 2 8-minute touchdown drives since at least the year 2000. And I know I've said this before, but when you hear this phraseology of at least, they just don't have the data to go back any further. You'd have to probably do it manually. Defensively, what did you make of the Broncos yesterday?
You know, it's hard. It was hard for me to grade the defense because, one, they were on the sideline so damn long that you have to take that in consideration, that you're the rhythm is off.
Yep.
But when the defense was out there, other than at the beginning of the game, the Raiders' opening drive, where they drive down there, they score, they look like, okay, is this defense going to be the same defense that they were against the Commanders, or are they going to tighten up? They tightened up. They got pressure on Geno. They were able to stop the run. They did what they had to do, Zach. Now, they didn't look as dominant as they have in the past, but they did enough. I mean, what are you asking for? I mean, Ashton Genty, the Raiders' first-round draft pick, 30 yards.
Man.
Now, I will say this
I almost
about
feel
my
bad
man.
for him.
I do feel bad for him. There's a lot of people that are calling him a bust. Well, you try to go out there when your offensive line's not working for you, and every time you touch the ball, you're getting hit in the backfield. You can't do anything with that.
No.
So I'm not ready to call him or consider him or call him a bust right now. Now he has to kind of get going, and it can hurt his confidence. I will say that as a running back, when you have a bad year,
Sure.
you're straining now in the offseason.
Sure.
You're hoping that things get better for you. So hopefully Ashton Jitty can turn things around for himself. They're going to have to help him out. But the defense handled business. They took care of business. They did the right things, and that's all you're asking for, Zach. What'd you think?
Well, I thought mostly outside of a play here, a play there, and that first drive, man, they were pretty suffocating. I mean, Geno Smith and they knocked another quarterback out of the game. We got to see Kenny Pickett for a handful of plays, but they were pressuring the hell out of those guys. The numbers behind that statement, the Broncos pressured Geno and Kenny Pickett on 19 of 37 dropbacks. That is a pressure rate of over 51%. They got 4 sacks underneath their belt. They recorded a pressure rate of at least 50% for the 5th time this season. No other team in the NFL has done that more than 3 games, holding the Raiders to 40 rushing yards. That's the fewest. That is the fewest rushing yards on the road since your 2019 Broncos played at the Minnesota Vikings, in which really, even the context of that, Kirk was throwing the ball everywhere. Kirk Cousins, so they didn't even really need to run it.
And they were down.
Remember, they were down 20-0.
Yeah. We went in there with a great game plan, came out with an ass game plan.
Yeah. well,
went in there with a good one. How do you come out with a bad one? I don't know, but we did it.
Yep, up 20-0, and the Vikings scored on all 4 possessions in the second half in that game. But yeah, I mean, so they couldn't run it, they couldn't pass it. Geno Smith and Kenny Pickett combined for 189 yards passing. So, and I know they scored a couple touchdowns there. One late, kind of just window dressing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Call it garbage time. I hate saying that.
Yeah,
word,
I don't like that either.
It was over. Like that at that time, your mindset's done. You know that you have the game won. You just want to come out healthy, so you're not going as hard. You're trying to take the ball carriers down, but you're not trying to decapitate their heads. So I mean, it's one of these things where I don't look at it as that the defense dominated and they did what they had to do.
Yeah. Yep. So okay, I mean, just pretty good grades kind of all around, really. I mean, you just had to you had to have that game for the tiebreaker purposes, and it was the first game all season long that you controlled from start to finish. Bad football team, sure, but you don't apologize for it.
Well, tell me this. We're praising the defense. We're praising the offense. We got to talk about the special teams. Say Marvin Mims doesn't get that touchdown.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
It is.
It's a little different than what we're saying now.
Agreed. And Pete Carroll said as much at halftime when he was like, this is an even game. The thing that's making the difference is the punt return.
Special teams.
And that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Do you think that because the Raiders are so bad, do you think that the Broncos offense or defense should have had more success?
See, this is hard because I'm sitting there and I'm watching the Seahawks just go crazy in the second half against the Falcons. And it's like that's what a championship team looks like as well. A team that's trying to get to a championship, they handle business. Would I love to see more out of Bo Nix when it comes to the touchdown passes and more explosive plays? Yes. But every game takes on its own identity. And therefore, do I think if Mims doesn't score that touchdown, it's a different ballgame? Yes. But do I think that Sean Payton goes into his bag of tricks and he's a little bit more aggressive? I think that is the case, and we end up winning no matter what because we have the playmakers, and the Raiders are just down and out. Guys, they are down and out, and I guarantee you this, that majority of those players have already signed up for their vacations.
Totally.
They don't want to play anymore.
Totally.
So if you're in this tough ball game and you end up making a big play on them, they're going to give up. That's just human nature when you know you're not fighting and playing for anything anymore. So do I think it would be different? Yes, at the beginning, but I think Sean would have been a little bit more aggressive. Bo Nix would have been a little bit more aggressive, and we would have still won the game.
Yeah. Sean told the CBS crew that he wanted yesterday to be a statement. And I don't know if they made a statement. They checked the box of the most important thing, and that's winning the football game. All right, and this is really an illustration of just the position that the Broncos have put themselves in, that they've won so many games in a row that we like grade the wins on a curve, right? When you're not in this position, it's just the most important thing is whether you won or lost. And again, that's a testament to this incredible position that Denver has put themselves in. But yeah, Sean Payton did say that. So if you were one of these folks that were like, hey, I want to go see the Broncos dominate the Raiders, you were not alone. Sean Payton agreed with you. He wanted to be a statement when he wanted, like the Seattle Seahawks game that you just referenced, what was it, 31-7 or whatever it was?
Yep.
Like, it wasn't that. It wasn't that.
But didn't Sean's offense kind of make a statement? I mean, you sit there and the points. I understand, like, we want to see the points. We want to see that type of glory. But when you have drives like the Denver Broncos had, three of those things. Yeah,
it's blunt force trauma.
You have 14-play drive, 14-play drive, 19-play drive, taking 9 minutes, 10 minutes. Like, that's making a statement in itself.
Yeah,
it's
a different kind of statement.
A different type of statement where it's like, we're here. We're dominant. We don't have to score a bunch of points to beat you. We can just go down the field and make you suffer that way. Now, up against someone like Green Bay, I don't think you can do that because Green Bay, when they get the ball, they're powerful as well. They can make some big-time plays like they did against Chicago, which Chicago has a really good defense. So I think that they made a statement in their own way of, like, offensively, we're just going to go down the field, and it's going to be an offensive game where our defense is just sitting there eating Snicker bars and maybe a couple Skittles because they have it in the back there. I know they do. And just watch the offense go to work.
Yeah, do I think when you break it down by the drives, that's there's a statement there. But 24, I mean, that's the league average, So, but hey, man, it's the name of the game is to go execute and win. They did enough, and I'll just say this: the Raiders' defense is designed not to give up big plays. Yeah. It's literally that's the design of it. So, not gonna cry about it by any means. Marvin Mims. What an absolute game-changing weapon that young man is.
We're lucky to have him.
It truly, and it leaves like almost more to be desired in the pass game of like, dude, this guy is so electric. How do we get him going the way that the Broncos did the last 7 games of last year? We haven't really seen that at all with Mims.
And that's what's irritating me. You have a playmaker. Is he the greatest receiver? No, but he's explosive, and he has a connection with Bo, which we just talked about, where you said the last 7-8 games last year, Marvin Mims went crazy. Why can't we do that with him now? If you're this great offensive coordinator, which Sean in the past has been a really damn good offensive coordinator, you get everybody involved. What it looks like to me now is Marvin Mims, his role is being diminished, and it's kind of as a 4th string receiver, and you have Pat Bryant, who's kind of emerged as a 3rd-string receiver, which is all good and dandy. But don't forget about a playmaker that can make big-time plays for you and explosive plays for you any given snap. So for Sean, what do you have to do to get everybody involved? Because you need everybody. You don't have J.K. You don't know really what you have in R.J. Harvey moving forward. Can he be consistent? But you need that big playability, and Marvin Mims gives you that as a special teamer, but also as a receiver. So Sean has to find a way. He must find a way. Don't kind of shun him out and just put him to the side, because that's exactly what you did to Marvin Mims yesterday.
Yeah, just one target for him.
Just one target. And I saw Marvin Mims on the sideline kind of frustrated, and he was looking at his coach it seemed like he was asking, why can't I get more involved? That has to be the case now. We have to get one of our explosive players involved, along with Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, and Courtland Sutton.
And then Adam Prentice, man. Adam Prentice, there's a real role for him on game days, and he was instrumental yesterday. Here was Sean Payton after the game talking about his fullback.
He has, and man, with Nate's injury, and we think he's close to coming back, but he's done a really good job because Nate played in some of that role where he's at. Listen, he had a really good game today because there's some contact in line with he and the linebackers, and the one thing about him is you know exactly what you're getting. You're never fooled. And his run fits, his blocking fits, all those things for a fullback. He played, I'm sure when we look at the film, he played well, and he'll be sore tomorrow.
He's just a football player.
He really is. After he left CSU, he became a man.